How did Bronny James make it to the NBA? What are Bronny James's stats in college? How do Bronny James's numbers look in the NBA? In the high-stakes world of professional basketball, few names carry as much weight and expectation as Bronny James. Born into a basketball dynasty, Bronny was always going to be compared to his father, LeBron James, one of the greatest players to ever play the game. But while LeBron's path to greatness was clear from an early age, Bronny's journey has been full of its own unique challenges and questions. For all the hype surrounding him, one big question remains. Why isn't Bronny James an NBA player yet? It's not a question of talent, and it's certainly not a lack of opportunity. Bronny has proven his abilities at nearly every level of basketball: high school, college, and even in the NBA Summer League. However, his road to a full-time NBA career has been slower than many expected. So, let's break it down. How did Bronny get here? Where is he now? And why hasn't he yet cemented his place in the NBA? 1. Bronny James's early career and high school success. The story of Bronny James is a tale of both privilege and pressure. As the son of LeBron James, there was an immediate spotlight on Bronny the moment he picked up a basketball. Yet, despite being born into a legacy of greatness, his early years in basketball were filled with both the advantages of his father's influence and the burdens of his father's expectations. Unlike LeBron, who was a phenom from the start, Bronny's path has been more measured and nuanced. From the moment Bronny stepped onto the court at Sierra Canyon High School, the world was watching. Sierra Canyon is a powerhouse in high school basketball, and the fact that Bronny chose to play there only added to the anticipation. However, right from the start, it was clear that Bronny's rise wouldn't be as meteoric as his father's. He wasn't immediately a standout player in the same way LeBron had been in high school. Instead, he faced the challenge of growing into his own identity as a player while carrying the immense burden of being LeBron's son. Bronny's high school career, while successful, was marked by steady progress rather than dominant performances. He wasn't the high-flying dunker or scoring machine that some might have expected. Instead, Bronny showed glimpses of being a well-rounded player with solid basketball IQ. His ability to shoot, pass, and play defense was noticeable, but his game wasn't flashy. He was often overshadowed by other top recruits, but his consistency and versatility made him a valuable asset for his high school team. By his senior year, Bronny had found his stride. He became a more aggressive player, developed a more consistent shooting stroke, and showed that he could handle the pressure of being one of the most highly watched players in high school basketball. But even as his game matured, Bronny faced constant scrutiny. Every game was another chance for critics to judge him based on his father's legendary career. Could Bronny live up to LeBron, or was he simply benefiting from the hype of his last name? Despite this, Bronny's performance in high school showed that he had the tools to succeed at the next level. His all-around game was his greatest asset. He wasn't the flashiest player, but he was an incredibly skilled and intelligent one. Traits that would serve him well in his journey to college basketball. 2. Bronny's college journey and stats. A steady ascent. After high school, Bronny made the decision to attend the University of Southern California, USC, where he would continue his development as a player. It was a decision that raised many eyebrows. USC is a competitive program in the Pac-12, and its basketball team often faces stiff competition. Bronny was stepping into a program where the pressure would only intensify, but it also offered him an opportunity to play at a high level while continuing to grow as a player. Upon arriving at USC, Bronny immediately faced the reality of competing at the college level. College basketball is notoriously demanding, with the speed and physicality of the game taking many freshmen by surprise. For Bronny, the transition wasn't going to be seamless, and his first year in college reflected that. His stats, around 10 to 12 points, 3 to 4 rebounds, and 2 to 3 assists per game, were solid, but not eye-popping. On the surface, it might have seemed like a somewhat underwhelming debut for someone with his pedigree. However, it's crucial to understand the context of these numbers. Bronny was not the primary option on the USC roster, which meant he didn't have the freedom to take over games like some of the other top prospects did. Instead, his role was more that of a complementary player, someone who could contribute in various ways, but not necessarily put up 20 points every game. But what those stats don't show is the development that was happening behind the scenes. Bronny was improving his basketball IQ, his ability to read defenses, and his shot selection. More importantly, he was proving that he could be a reliable role player for a team at a high level of competition. One of the key areas where Bronny made strides in college was his defense. Known for his athleticism and long wingspan, Bronny became a pest on the defensive end. His ability to guard multiple positions, especially against quicker and more physical college players, showed that he could handle the rigors of professional basketball. His defense was arguably his most underrated asset, and it's something that could make him a valuable contributor in the NBA, where defense is often just as important as offense. Offensively, Bronny's game continued to evolve. His three-point shooting improved, and his ability to attack the basket became more refined. While he wasn't the go-to scorer for USC, he was becoming more versatile, and it was clear that his game had potential. However, even as his college career showed promise, the expectations surrounding him remained high. Every game, every play was under the microscope, and comparisons to his father were inevitable. But Bronny's college numbers were always going to be more about potential than immediate production. The NBA, where is Bronny now? When it comes to the NBA, Bronny's journey has been a bit more complicated. After a successful freshman year at USC, the expectation was that Bronny would eventually make his way into the NBA draft. However, things aren't as simple as just being good enough to play in the NBA. The competition is fierce, and teams are looking for immediate contributors who can add something unique to their roster. Bronny's time in the NBA so far has included appearances in the Summer League, where he showed flashes of his skill set but didn't dominate. While Summer League performances are often not indicative of long-term success, they offer a glimpse into how a player might fit into the NBA. In Bronny's case, his time in the Summer League was more about learning than impressing. He showcased his versatility and defensive ability, but his offensive game still had a lot of room for improvement. The talent was there, but it wasn't fully realized. Bronny's place in the NBA is still not certain. While many were hoping for an immediate breakthrough, it's important to remember that the NBA is a league that demands a lot from young players, and most rookies don't walk in and start dominating right away. In Bronny's case, he is still developing his skill set and trying to find his niche within the league. Unlike some players who are ready to be stars from day one, Bronny is working his way through the system, and his journey is likely going to be a longer one. 4. So, why isn't Bronny James in the NBA yet? So why is Bronny James still not a full-time NBA player? There are a few reasons that can explain this. Development takes time. One of the biggest reasons Bronny isn't an NBA starter yet is that the transition from college to the NBA is extremely difficult. Not only is the competition tougher, but the physical demands of the NBA require players to be in top shape and possess a high level of skill. Bronny, while talented, is still developing both physically and mentally. It takes time to adjust to the speed and intensity of the NBA, and Bronny has not yet fully made that leap. The shadow of LeBron. There's no getting around the fact that being LeBron James' son comes with both advantages and disadvantages. On one hand, Bronny has access to elite coaching, training, and resources. But on the other hand, he also faces intense scrutiny and overwhelming expectations. Every time Bronny steps onto the court, comparisons to his father are inevitable. These comparisons can be both motivating and overwhelming, and they place a great deal of pressure on Bronny to live up to a legacy that no one could possibly match. Specialization in the NBA. Conclusion. Bronny James's journey to the NBA has been full of highs and lows, challenges, and moments of brilliance. His path has not been a straight line, but that's the reality for many young players trying to make it in the NBA. While he may not be a full-time NBA player yet, Bronny's development has been steady, and his potential is undeniable. Bronny's story isn't over, it's only just beginning. Whether or not he ever fully lives up to the sky-high expectations set for him, one thing is clear. Bronny James has the talent, work ethic, and determination to carve out his own place in the NBA. The journey might take longer than expected, but in basketball, patience is often the key to success.